Business reporting and dashboarding is one of the emerging dimension of any business. In this technology area, it's important you know how to prepare at least small dashboard for your business or maybe for your client. This is a detailed video demonstrating how to prepare a dashboard from scratch using Microsoft Power BI, which is available freely. Let me show you screenshot of the final output of this dashboard, which we will be preparing in this video just to increase your curiosity. As you can see on the screen, this is a one-page report of cash, so your balance and cash receipts and payment as on a selected date. So this dashboard may appear very small, but let me tell you, it takes one-time efforts to prepare this. One more thing, you may have to watch this video twice or thrice if you are unaware about the concept of Power BI, DAX expression, SQL Server. Let us start. So I presume that you all have watched that previous video where I had demonstrated how to install utility, then how to set up a database. Okay, so I have already downloaded utility. So let me start by creating a fresh database for my company. So I'm using SQL Server Management Studio, or you can even use Azure Data Studio. So let me connect. So let us create a new database. Right click new database and let us name this database as tally underscore demo. So this should be visible here, tally underscore demo. Now let me create the structure of the database. So I will be dragging this database structure file here in this SQL Server Management Studio, and let us select target database. So tally underscore demo. Okay, and then let us select Control A all the create table statements and execute it. Okay, so now if I expand this, I should be able to see all the tables. Okay, so our database has been created with its structure. Now this was a one-time step. Now let us quickly load the database into the database. So ensure that your tally is running and only one company is selected. Okay, and go to the utility folder. We will just edit config.json. So technology should be MS SQL, server name, whatever localhost, port 1433. Schema name, now we created data by name, tally underscore demo. Username is by default generally SA, standard account in SQL Server. Password, whatever you set. And load method, I am using file because my SQL Server and tally is there on the same PC. So I can do a fast loading. Okay, tally setting port 9000. From date to date, I have set it auto so that it is automatically detected. So this config, I think, look good. Control S, close it, ensure that tally is running. Okay, perfect. Now let us quickly run the utility to synchronize the data. So this utility will take 2-3 minutes to synchronize. So I will fast forward the video. Okay, so friends, now window has closed. So our synchronization is complete. Error log 0 KB, that means no error were generated. Let us check import log if any number of rows were imported. Okay, I can see many number of rows imported. Okay, so friends, our data is loaded perfectly into the SQL Server. Let us begin with the main portion of the video, which is Power BI. So making dashboard related to cash. So I will start by launching Power BI. So I hope you all have installed it. So you download it from the official website of Microsoft. Just Google Power BI and you will get the download link. And make sure you have good configuration computer because Power BI is very heavy. So ideally you should at least have 8 GB RAM. I would recommend 16 GB at least. I'm running with it because. So let me close this window and let us start importing the data. So I will press SQL Server. Server name. So server name, I think you can copy paste from Management Studio desktop. Okay, whatever this name comes here. Okay, I will write this. Then database name is in our case is tally underscore demo. Okay, let us press OK. So we can see the tables. Now we require ledger table for our opening balance. Okay, ledger table. Then we would also require transaction table. So voucher, then and accounting. So basically we can start with these three tables. Okay, transform data. Okay, sir. So let me first save this file. Should always save the file. Okay, so let's say tally demo. I would keep the name same. I already have tally demo, tally SQL demo. Now, TRN accounting is the table which contains all the debit and credits of every transactions. But unfortunately, it doesn't have few columns like date of transaction, what type of, so that we will derive from TRN voucher. Okay, by joining this. Let us first remove the unnecessary fields. So forex amount and currency is something not required. So I can select it and delete it. Okay, now to this table, let us join voucher table. So I will go to merge queries. Merge means internally joining, or it is like a VLOOKUP. So I would join voucher table. And what is the connecting field? So GUID is the connecting field. And I would select inner only matching rows. Now, even if you select any option, you would still get same number of rows. So let me press OK. Now we will have to select at which fields we want here of the voucher table. So just untick this. Okay, deselect all. So we want date of transaction, what type of voucher it is. Let us take even voucher number. Delete is not required. Narration we can skip. Party name if you want. And this is very important. Is accounting voucher or not? Because maybe sales order also have debit credit. So we need to ignore those. So let us join this. Let me press OK. So you can see all these columns joined to this table. Now let us filter all the accounting transaction because here sales order related transaction will also come. So we need to eliminate those. So I will click load more. Okay. So if you have any zero in the menu, just deselect all. Okay. Now currently I don't have any sales order transactions. Okay. So this is our detailed accounting table with all this detail. Now from this table, let us derive our cash related table. Okay, so I will just filter out the transaction related to cash. So I will right click and make a reference. Make a reference means starting points. Okay, so from accounting, I am deriving all the transaction related to cash. So indirectly, you can call it as ledger underscore cash. So it is our cash ledger, complete cash ledger. Okay, I will, and let us apply the filter. So in ledger, only cash related transaction should come. So I will apply text filter contains. You need to write exact ledger name of cash. Not contains, it should be rather equals to cash. Let us press OK. So if you have many cache accounts like petty cache, you can use contains also. Okay, so now here only cache related transactions are filtered out. Now let us load this data into our model. So I'll click close and apply. Okay, so I will go to this data portion. This is our data model of Power BI. Let me save this. Okay, so you can see all the our ledger, all the data in the model. We will be creating everything from scratch. So our first task is creating a drop down of, let's say, last 60 or 90 days. Because if I uh, by default create a drop down, I have 3 years data. So 365 into 3, that means 1000 plus date will come in that drop down. So it may get congested. So I just want the last voucher entered date minus 60 days in the drop down. Now I need to detect last voucher entered date. So we will have to insert measures. So in the transaction accounting table, let us create a measure. So measure is basically a calculated value. New measure. So let us name this measure as, let's say, last voucher date. Okay, so highest date found in this accounting transaction is equal to max. That means highest date found in which tables, which column. So our table is PRN accounting and column or field is date. So highest date found in this column. Let me press enter. Now here you cannot actually see the value, calculated value. Now let me first adjust the formatting, because by default it is created as a date time, but this is basically only date. Time information is not there in Tally. So I'll select this type of format. Let us check whether last entered voucher date was properly calculated or not. So I'll go to this visualization window and let me add a slicer. Okay, you can find a not slicer, sorry. We need to add card. Okay, I'll add a card and drag that measure into it. Check. Okay, 31st March 2020. So I have 3 years data, 17 to 20. Okay, so this is perfect. Let me clear it. Now let us generate a drop down of dates from 31st March 20 to last 60 days. Okay, so I'll have to go to table tools, new table. So this is a calculated table and I would be using DAX or data analytics functions too. So list of dates. Okay, list of date, and there is a function called calendar. Okay, calendar start date and end date. So our start date is last voucher date minus 60 dates. Okay, and end date is last voucher date. Tap to select this, bracket close, and let us press enter. Okay, so these are the list of dates. So this uh, table would automatically be calculated based on the last voucher entered. Each time you refresh data, this dates would change automatically. Now let us change the format. Again, this is in date time format. So I want this data as only date. Okay, now this format seems okay. I think our format is, let's save this. So our list of dates is generated. Let me drag these dates into drop down. So I will go to again report view. I'll add a slicer. So here you will get a slicer and let us drag dates column into this slicer. Let's see something like this. Now I want a drop down basically. So I will go here and click drop down. Okay, so you can see a drop down. Then let me make it single selection. So we'll activate single select so that only one value of drop down is selected at a time. Now these fonts are appearing since I have increased the screen size. So you can always change your font size from here. We'll get somewhere here. Okay, text size. So our drop down is also ready. Now we will create a measure which stores the value selected in the drop down. So we'll again go to the data. Let's say we insert this visualization in the accounting only. So click new measure. Let's say active date, selected dot or active date, whatever. So this contains, there is a DAX function called selected value and of which table. So list of dates, date. Okay, in list of dates table, whatever date column is selected. Okay, now bracket close. Yes, enter active date. And again, this needs to be in this formatting. We need to ignore time. Let us check if this measure is perfectly holding the value or not. So what I can do, I can basically drop this measure over here, active date, in this card, 31st January 20. Let us check. Let's say I select 7th February. Okay, 7th February, 15th February. Okay, perfect. So it is working perfectly. I will remove. Our first visualization is closing balance as on the date which is selected in this drop down. So I need to calculate the closing cash balance as on this date. So let us calculate this. So I'll go to data. Now we require two measures for it. So let me introduce. So first measure will scan the opening balance of the cash ledger. Now this opening balance will be based on the data which you have splitted or entered into the database. Since I have entered 3 years data into the database, so in my case it would be on 1/4/2017. So I will click new measure inside ledger cash opening balance. Okay, so cash opening balance, this measure will be is equal to, now I will be applying a sum if function equivalent in DAX. So sum if of Excel. So there is a function called calculate. Okay, calculate. Now I have what I have to calculate. So I have to sum. Now opening balance is generally found in MST ledger table. Okay, ledger table, MST ledger, and field name is opening balance. So kindly sum those rows of ledger table where comma name of the ledger. Okay, so name of the ledger is, so this field is name where ledger name is equal to, in double quotes, cash. So naturally there would be either one row or zero row. Okay, so sum will always be zero or sorry whatever opening. So if you don't have any opening balance, zero would automatically come. Okay, let me press enter because there cannot be two cash ledgers in tally. Okay, let us check whether this opening balance as on 1/4/2017 was properly captured or not. So we'll keep on testing. So let me drag this and check. Okay, minus 413.31 K. Now, okay, so there is balance. So now K is basically because it is in coming in thousands. So you can just change it, display in it, none. That means complete. Now see why it is minus, because debit is minus in tally. So this thing is tested perfectly. Now let us calculate closing balance as on this selected date. So we'll go to data model. We already have a measure called active dates. So we can apply date filter here. So let me introduce one more measure inside ledger cache table. New measure. This measure name, let us name it cache closing balance. Again, we will be using calculate function of DAX is equal to calculate bracket token. Now we need to apply sum of all the net debit credit uh, till this whatever date is selected plus opening balance. So I think let us first add opening balance. Okay, so we already have measure called uh, opening balance. Okay, ledger cache opening balance. So this measure means opening balance plus net of all debit credits till the date which is selected in the slicer. So sum, not sum, sorry, calculate sum of all the net debit credit in the ledger cache table. Okay? Because this table specifically contains a transaction of cash. So we need to sum our amount column. This. Now I cannot apply date filter directly here like this because since I'm using mix and match of measures, so I will have to use filter function of DAX. So I'll have to calculate sum of all the ledger underscore cache amount where filter which table. So table name is ledger underscore cache comma and what are the filter expressions. So in the ledger underscore cache column where date is less than or equal to active date. Okay, active date selected in that slicer. So this would be this will be filtering only those rows and those rows would be sum. Let me close this and let me press enter so that I have cache closing balance. Let us test this. So I'll go to again visualization. Now instead of cache opening balance, let me drag cache closing balance here in the card. Let me check if on 14th February 2020 this was the closing balance or not. I'll go to tally. I'll go to cache ledger. Select the period 142 14 Feb 672,990.95. Let us go to Power BI 672,990.95. So our closing balance is perfectly calculated. Now this is appearing minus because debit is minus. So let us convert this to positive. So I can simply apply brackets and multiply this with -1 so that it becomes positive. Okay, so this is our cash balance as on the whatever date we select in the drop down. Let us make this dashboard even more productive. So I'll be introducing two more cards, so which will give receipts received as on this 4th March and all the payments, cash payment done on 4th March or whatever date is selected in the drop down. So I'll go to model, and I will introduce two measures for those new measures. Let us name this measure as receipt on due date. Again, we'll be using calculate function. So sum, again we have to sum amount column, and what are the filters? So our filters are here are two filters. In voucher type, receipt should be written, and date should be voucher date should be equal to active date. So kindly filter this ledger table, ledger cache table, and what are the filters? So in this table, our voucher type should be is equal to, in double quotes, receipt. Double and means condition number 2, date should be is equal to active date. Okay, active date, bracket close, again bracket for calculate function, and press enter. Let us test this measure. So I'll again go to visualization and add one more card. Click here and let me drag this receipt on active date here. Blank, that means no receipt as on 4th March. Let us check any other date where you have generally receipt. I think this client is not having any receipt. So let us create a same measure for payment. So let us make a copy of this, or you can simply copy paste this measure name, complete. Again go to new measure. Just paste this and just instead of receipt make it as payment, and here we can change it to payment. Let us check for payment. So I think in tally on let's say 12th I can see payment, after that direct 7th. So let us verify this. Go to visualization, insert one more card for payment. I'll drag the payment here as on. Let me select 12th February. Okay, 12th Feb. $780. Okay, perfect. 7th Feb. Let us select 7th Feb and check 34,500. Let me check the change this display units to none, so that complete amount is displayed 34,451. So if we add up, you'll get this. So you'll have to exclude contra. Okay, so this seems to be working. Now receipt, since it is blank, so I don't. Now generally you will have to append minus sign to the receipts, because the receipt is debit, so minus will be coming. So in this measure of receipt, you will have to multiply this by -1. Okay, and let's say if you don't want to display blank, okay, display blank, instead of that, if you want 0 to appear here, because if you don't have any, let's say, payment on that date, on it, let's say there is no payment, so instead of blank, let's say I want 0, so I can use one more technique in measure of variables. So basically this becomes blank, so I can introduce a variable. So let me do this for payment, then you can apply this same for everywhere. So I'll press shift enter and introduce one variable where, let's say, total is equal to whatever this DAX function is calculating. Okay, Now, now I will have to write return. Okay, return whatever variable this. So I will use a DAX function called if. Okay, the same like Excel. If is blank, if this total, okay, this total comes blank. Okay, if this total is blank, then kindly return 0. Okay, instead of blank. Otherwise, just return whatever amount is there in total. So here blank would not be coming. So you can ensure blank, that instead of blank 0 goes out. So okay, what I did, I introduced a variable. So instead of directly assigning this value to measure, I introduced a variable, var means variable, called total, and while returning the value of this variable, I checked if this variable got calculated to blank. If if blank, then kindly return 0. Otherwise, whatever amount is there, is calculated. Press enter and ensure that shift enter is for shifting this to the next line. Now let us check this. Okay, now 0 comes here instead of blank. Okay, so on 8 there is, on 9 there is no payment, so 0. Same way you can do this for receipt and even for cash closing balance. Let's say you don't have any net debit credit, so you can introduce a variable like this. So let me do this same for the receipt. So let us calculate this, means copy paste this tax. Now I'll paste it for receipt. Okay. So instead of this, I will replace it with shift enter and paste it. Now receipt generally will be in debit, so minus. So we will have to apply minus total. That means we have to turn minus sign into positive. And here instead of payment, I'll have to write it as receipt. Since payment is credit, so already it is in positive. Receipts is debit, so while returning, I am changing the minus sign to plus sign for receipt. Let us see this in action. Now let us beautify this dashboard so it appears as a dashboard. So this is just a roughly created thing. So let us rename this. Okay, rename this. So let's say on active date for receipts. Okay, and this are, let's say, payment receipt payments. Let me arrange it properly. And let's say closing balance, we can put it here. Cash balance. Okay, we can write anything. Okay. Let us change the colors of receipt and payment. So let's make receipt as green and payment as red. So here you will get even this coloring and painting option. Okay. So data label. So receipts as green. So let me search for a green color. Okay, this seems perfect. And payments red color. So red color is already here. Receipts and payment. Let me drag the cash balance a bit here because I need to insert a header. Now again presentation can vary. Okay, now I want to display good header to this. So name of the organization maybe. So let us add text box. And drag. So you can collapse this actually. Okay, and let us write the name in good font some. tally demo, okay, whatever, limited, or you can write your organization name actually. Let us change background color of this. Okay, you can change even background color of this. So background color, generally you will get setting somewhere here. Okay, some dark background. Okay, and let us change the font color. Sorry, I'll have to select and change. Okay, now this appears a bit, looks good. You can also insert your company logo here, and now you can apply slicers. You can even give report header. Okay, what type of report is this? So I'm making a copy of this text box. Cache position or cache analytics. Okay, so this is related to cache. Okay, so you can beautify as you want. Okay, this is up to you that how you want to arrange and something like this. It's totally up to you. Next is let us give this page as name, some cache analysis, because I can add many more like sales analysis, purchase analysis, or whatever tab names you want to give it. Let us save this. Now, the next step, or I will call it as a optional text step. What if you want this report to be accessible from cloud, because you are restricted to this machine? You will have to always circulate your tally SQL demo Power BI file. Okay, and again that other your management, uh, whosoever want to access this report will require Power BI. But what if they are using Mac, or what if they want to access this report right from their cell phone? Okay, from smartphone. Let me show you this technique. Okay, for that you need to sign up for a free Power BI account. Okay, so if you go to Google and search Power BI service, you can actually sign up for a free Power BI account. So this is a Power BI online account where you can publish your report and get it accessible. So if you don't have, you can create a new account, or otherwise, uh, so you can click try free and create your free account. But friends, remember that you need a corporate email ID. That is, your email ID should not be ending with Gmail, Yahoo, because these are personal email ID. So you cannot create a free account using personal email ID. You will always require a corporate or business email ID. So you can get a business email ID from GoDaddy or any site, Big Rock. So let me sign up using my own account. Now, this is a Power BI online version, okay, cloud-based version. So I have activated a trial because basically, but you don't require any trial version. You can even operate in free version also. Now let us create a workspace for each client. So I'll go to workspace and let us create a workspace. Let us name this as, let's say client name is demo. So tally demo, and let me create this workspace. Okay, tally demo workspace is created. Now let me save this and sign into my same account, same Microsoft account. So I'll click sign in here and again enter the same email ID. Let us wait for the sign in dialog and same password you have to enter. Okay, so now I am signed into my workspace. Now let us publish this whole dashboard to cloud. So I'll click publish. Okay, and it will ask that to which workspace. So you can create multiple workspace wherein all your reports would reside. So you can have workspace for your individual branches or individual clients. So I'll publish to this Tally demo workspace. Okay, so it is basically pushing the data and all the reports. Okay, let me go to this workspace. See, you can immediately see this. Now I can access all my dashboards right from here. So if I click here, I can directly open this. So this is a cloud based and I don't need even Power BI to be connected. Okay, so you can be on a different machine. Let me save this and close it. Okay, it is not connected. Basically, this data is there on the cloud. If you want to see, let me refresh this, change any figures. See, this is changing. Okay, you can see this figure changing. Cash balance is changing. So this is a cloud-based version of your dashboard. So this you can access from any machine, Mac or any. You just have to log into your account and you can very easily access this. Now friends, one issue remains. If your data in Tally changes or gets updated, it will not get reflected directly here because it is not connected to Tally on a real-time basis, but via database. So even if you press this refresh, database is still having the old database. So you will have to keep on running utility again and again. So let us see how you can automate this task also of running utility. So what I will do, I will go to task manager, task scheduler. So there is a utility called task scheduler, which is available in Windows, where you can automate these tasks. So I will create a task. Let us name this as Tally Sync. So action. So what I have to run. So whenever, so I'll have to automatically run this file called run.bat. So let me copy paste the path into this. Run.bat. So automatically run file called run.bat and kindly while running this change our folder to this. Please add last slash here. Okay, this is required. Okay, so start a program called utility disk, whatever folder in your case it is. Okay, and run this file. And very important is triggers. So what is the time frame for running this utility? So let's say we want to run this utility daily at whatever time you you specify. So let's say we want to automatically synchronize this at 11 o'clock. So it runs on 23 hours basis. So 2300, sorry, 230000. Okay, so every day at 11 o'clock it will run. Okay, and let's say if you want it to run even each hour, okay, each hour or every 30 minutes, you can repeat it every 1 hour. So this utility of database synchronization will run every hour. So whatever frequency you want to run, and press OK. So this will create a task called tally sync. So it will run at 11 o'clock every day. So this way, this utility will pop out, this synchronize the data and close itself. The only thing is that your tally should be always kept open and on the target company should always be selected. That is the only required thing. Otherwise, rest of the thing will get automatic. And after that, you can just press refresh. Okay, refresh button so that again the fresh data from the database arrives and later on you can publish it. Okay, later on you can publish it. So let us see this in action. Let's say on 30th March, let us add one receipt. Okay, now for the time being, I will run this task manually. So let me add one receipt on 30 March. 30 March cash account and let's say Adani Power. So let's say I receive 2500 from Adani Power. So I added one receipt on 30th March. Now the issue is that even if I press refresh, database is still having older value because tally to database sync is not done. So let's assume this utility automatically runs. So I will manually run this. Click run here and run this utility. So it may take few minutes depending on your computing speed of your PC and it should automatically close down. Let's check. So this window should automatically go away. Okay, so synchronization complete. Now let us refresh this data. Okay, let us refresh this data. Okay, you can see this updated 2.5K or I think I have to change this. Okay, so I can see data is updated. Now let's say now you will have to actually manually again and again press publish. Okay, so that this data is automatically synced to cloud. So we are done with the tutorial. So make sure you are at least attempting to make a single page dashboard. Lastly, stay tuned and subscribe to the Excel Kida channel for future video updates. And please do like and share the video.